out of the songs, but it's about attitudes, and it's getting attitudes right. You're entitled to have your own opinions, and in a free country, you're entitled to say what you believe in. But what you are not entitled to do in any circumstances is to do something that prejudices a fellow citizen, and that's where the difficulty is going to lie.
Okay, Donald, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Now to our main feature this evening, yesterday's match between Rangers and Kilmarnock. Michael Mols and Neil McCann both missing from the Rangers team. Kilmarnock without 5 first-team regulars, including Gordon Marshall and Ian Durrant. Match commentator, Archie McPherson.
Back to business. As if there hasn't been a summer break at all. The sun in keeping with Rangers' dazzling start of the season. And of course a stadium full of the usual pre-season expectations. A little bit of a disappointment though for the Rangers supporters. Brandon here is that Michael Mols after all hasn't quite made it after his injury in midweek, and neither has Neil McCann. So the Rangers team have brought back George Albert in place of McCann of course, and the Argentinian Gabriel Amato up front. And playing for the first league game since he was injured against Kilmarnock last December, Arthur Newman at fullback, and arguably Rangers' classiest player. Kilmarnock really up against it when you think they don't have Gordon Marshall, Mark Bater, Dylan Kerr, Jim Loughlin is suspended, Ian Durrant and John Henry. They just have to put up with it. That's the team they choose today. And newcomer Frederic Dandelou, number 17. The man they got from Lille, I saw him playing in France, very solid player indeed, who will play, I think, on the left side of a formation which Bobby Williamson was saying was going to contain 3 centre-backs. And there's the referee, Martin Clark, ready for action. The pitch looks in absolutely perfect condition for this Bank of Scotland Premier Division game. And no doubt Rangers will be wondering if perhaps towards the end of this game there might be a little tiredness creeping into the legs, which very normally happens when you've played a game in Europe, however successfully, and certainly they did in Finland. Very difficult to make a full appraisal of a Rangers side until they really come up against much higher opposition, as they very shortly will almost inevitably do against Parma. Way on the far side, Wallace does show you the strength of this Rangers side as Wallace is brought down with a delightful little feint and swivel there, and as a free kick. This is the way, try to go through the 2 players there. How sharp this little man is. Rangers' top goal scorer of last season. Keeping his composure there as he was surrounded. Albert tried to slip that through, now picked up there eventually by Gus McPherson. Down by Ali Mitchell, and the flag goes up, and I think it was Roberts who might have been offside there. Reyna. Dabbing that through, Mitchell picks up. Not a bad move by Kilmarnock. There's Moore, right in position. Kilmarnock, after 5 minutes, getting a touch of the ball and winning a corner kick. Applause, positive there, and just away. Too clever by half that time. By Ferguson, whipped away by Damchuk. Then by Ferguson, Reyna. Nicely played out. Now here's the Damchuk. Reyna. Nice little ball. That was a brilliant ball to Wallace. Lacks a little bit of support across there though. Ferguson neatly inside. Van Bronckhorst, good support work by Rangers. Now Newman. Alberts, and there's Wallace. He had a look at it, but I suspect the linesman on the far side had put his flag up. Reyna played intelligently for the United States in the World Cup in a poorish USA team, so he stuck out a mile there, and he did indicate the way he touched that ball forward, how quickly he can see space for the forward-running player. Oh, that's a brilliant ball by Amoruso. Now Mato turning his man, and again he's got to let fly. Couldn't get hold of it, and dab towards goal by Newman. That's why this big fellow is such a favourite with the Rangers supporters. I mean, at times he looks extremely awkward, not gangliness. He overcomes with sheer perseverance of the ball, but well covered again, this time by Kevin McGowan. Ended up by Newman having a dab at it. Here's Reina. Beautiful play by Reina there. Wallace to Adamchuk. Nice ball inside. Here's Wallace again. Yes, corner kick there. Neat play by Rangers, ending up with, first of all, he was set up beautifully by Adamchuk, and then Van Bronckhorst trying, again, that little piercing pass forward. McGowan finding his players with the long ball as Ali Mitchell. Beautiful run by Ali Mitchell. Can he put it away? That's a good save. Well, the game certainly needed that, an injection of pace, and Rangers not bringing it away from their own half creatively enough. And here's Arthur Newman trying to pick up on that. Wallace. There's Newman coming forward. That's a brilliant move by the fullback. And Albert's pass almost finding him at the end. And that was a good minute's worth of fine attacking football at either end. All sparked off on that run by Ali Mitchell. Back in towards Van Bronckhorst, left to Moore. Van Bronckhorst, good control. That's towards Wallace. He's going in for the kill. Can he make it? He can get there. Yeah! Brilliantly taken. It required superb precision. A high ball under pressure, and the ball seemingly getting away from him. And two touches. It was in the back of the net. This is class finishing by any standards. Control here, looked as if it might go away from him. And at the end of it, keeping his cool. And Rangers, 5 minutes from half-time, a winner. Well, he's been in a volcanic mood, that gentleman, you can see there, but I think that might pacify him a little anyway. Newman getting into stoppage time now. Newman back by Van Bronckhorst, and Ali Mitchell comes in there to crowd him out again. This is a new boy. That was a nice little turn on Amoruso there by Michael Jeffries. Now Mitchell looking up for support in that far side. Adamchuk's there though. Now Rangers, as the that-time whistle goes, booing was, I think, because the Rangers supporters rather hostile against the referee for some decisions. But early on in the game, it shows you how useful Rangers are coming from midfield with players like Barry Ferguson, Van Bronckhorst, and Claudio Arena showing the way to split a defensive wall. But Kilmarock held fast, came back. Ali Mitchell with that lovely little run in there, hit and run, and then firing it straight at the Rangers goalkeeper, Stephen Kloss. And then the goal, an absolute gem. Watch the way this is sent way downfield, not the easiest ball to take. There's the control, still grasping to get at it, which he successfully did. Another goal for Rod Wallace, and that's maybe an ominous sign for other teams in the Premier Division as Rangers go off. 1 goal up.
When you buy a car, it can eat up the cash. Loan repayments, insurance.
Which lessens the chance of that move ending successfully. Put to the wrong side of the German, but another piercing move by Rangers again. Started off by Wallace and almost finished off as he put it through to the big fellow using the foot he merely stands on. And it's Mark Roberts going off. John Barai, who was injured against Rangers earlier last season, of course, missed a lot of games and has very good pace, which is what Killy need at the moment. Well, they need more than pace, but pace will help. There he is. There's a shot at goal. That's not a bad first effort. On the field, 10 seconds, and he's intimating to everybody else, even if they hadn't known it, that he's got good control and that kind of pace that I spoke about, but angling it away too much. Forward by Jeffries. Moret brought that down very well. Back to Hay. Missed by, and that could be an equalizer. It is. Mitchell, mistake right in the middle of that Rangers defence. A momentary hesitation, and Mitchell, who's spoiled many a Hope Unit Irish before, most notably in the championship 2 years ago, nips in there to put it away. Had to remain cool. Yes, when a mistake happened, and slotted in, and Rangers for all their possession. In the second half, absolutely nothing to show for it, and Killy are back on level terms. Wallace. Ferguson. Nicely turned round. Rayner. Better play by Rangers. Rayner with a goal! What a goal! Rayner, classical setup and brilliant finish. The man who's been outstanding today, certainly the man of the match, and I don't think Innover will exceed that now. Starting it in the midfield and finishing it off, and as I think you will see from this, it wasn't the easiest of angles. Yet to pick it up here, it had to be very precise indeed. Seemed to take it a little bit with the outside of the foot to turn it right, and the American has now become an instant hero with his huge crowd, not only for the intelligence of his play, but showing them that he can finish clinically as well. So Johansson got a little touch to that, and again Holt comes back with him. Oh, it's a good tackle by Adamchuk. Tried to touch that inside. You could see that Wallace had made that penetrating run from the outside of the box. That's very hard, and Wallace got down to it. Certainly Johansson was following up, but I don't think there was any doubt that the goalkeeper was going to get it. These corner kicks have troubled the Kilmarnock defence, although there should have been covering there. Johansson almost got through once again to Van Bronckhorst. Paddy Mitchell's worked ever so hard for Kilmarnock. There's a run by Wallace! And he's trying himself! Well, Johansson was screaming for the ball to be played inside, but it was an immaculate turn this. Once again, a lovely ball through by the German. That's the turn that deceived him now. He could have laid it back. He chose to go himself. Well, the angle was difficult. Well, he's a hard man to please, this. Johansson. Shields it well. That's a beautiful little ball in towards Wallace. Now that may be a yellow card. Was he the last defender? The Kilmarnock players are saying no. Trisinis, I think, was pointing to himself that he was nearer the goalkeeper. Gets a yellow card. What they have in mind. Johansson's hovering there. Here's Van Bronckhorst. Nice little touch right to Wallace. Can he put this away? There's Velvet coming in. And I don't think any touch was made whatsoever. And indeed, it was Porrini on the far side who slides in after this. Watch his ball coming across here. And suddenly, in that position, it's Perini who almost made contact. Some of these Rangers players, particularly the midfield players, looking a little bit tired. They've had an arduous opening couple of weeks, having to go to Europe and play a very meaningful game. And I think it's telling. Here's Ferguson. As the final whistle goes, well, it turned out to be very narrow. It really shouldn't have been that, given the amount of possession that Rangers did have, especially in the second half. And when they opened their account late on in the first half of that glorious through ball here that required a great deal of work still to be done, but Wallace, of course, has shown he can do it so very well. And then the fight back by Kilmarock, which was very surprising to say the least, because they hardly had possession in the second half. But look, there is the question mark that has to be asked about this Rangers defence. Remember, they gave a goal away so easily in Europe, but the immediate retort by the man of the match, not surprisingly, Claudio Reyna, when playing the ball in midfield, running into perfect position for the return pass from Alberts, and a glorious finish. Lot of good play by Rangers, but some slack play as well as they prepare for an important couple of weeks and go off winning by 2-1.
Great expectation before that match with the flag-raising ceremony, but it all fell a bit flat.
Well, not the flag. I think that was the best thing of the afternoon. No, I think the expectations were very high, and we couldn't make it. The only good thing today is that we got 3 points. But football-wise, we have to improve, and the good thing from that is that we know that we can do that.
I'm happy with the players individually and as a team. They worked very hard for each other, and the effort was superb. So I have no complaints that way. The goals I felt were avoidable, and
At time